Good afternoon, this is DW from Florida. It's a lovely day here, so it's nice and cool, no humidity. Not that you need to know that, but what I'm here to do today is to show you how to change an alternator on an F150. This is an XL Triton. It's a 5.4 litre engine, 8-cylinder, and I believe it's 2005. It's a work truck that we use. Now, as you can see down there is the alternator. Now that has just been replaced, but I was that busy not to be able to film it. I couldn't film it. I needed it on to get some final jobs done just before Christmas, so it's done. I'm going to take it off and show you how to put it back on. Now, I just want to say a big hello to all the guys and girls up in AMDA in New York. It's all training to be dancers, singers in the Broadway musicals. So a big shout out to you guys and girls up there, and so also my daughter Robin. Now that's over and done with, let's get back to business. Right, just had a new battery placed on there, which I'm sure most of you know how to replace a battery, but when I'm taking off the alternator, I will show you how to test it, check it out and everything, so once it's put back on. So I'm going to start now by, first of all, just disconnecting the positive. Now, all I'm going to do, it's a number 8 on mine, but there's different sizes for different battery terminals. I've got another feed coming off this, which feeds a crane on the back of the truck to lift heavy objects, which also, it's actually not just to feed the crane, it's also to feed another battery. So there's separate, but I always take the terminals off as a standby and then prop it underneath. So that one's off. So I'm not going to get any silly charge surges or anything like this. Now, we need to take the air filter off, and there's some clips here and one here. Hopefully you can see that. So if I just let me see if you can see that there. Let's take this a bit. I'll get nearer to this shot when I'm doing different shots. So just taking off the air filter. And I will give some silence because obviously I've got to think at the same time. Right, that's taking this unit off. I could actually just pull this and take it all off this unit here by lifting this up and popping it off, but I don't need to go inside it. There's also a piece that needs to come off here. That's part of the sensor unit. I just move it out of the way, it will move. This one just pulls off and twist and pull. So there's that part. That was the piece that came off, and there's the hose. With this one, it's just a green, pull that down, release that and pull it out. So I'm moving this out the way. If you want to, you can go inside and check your air filters if you need to. Right, so I'm zooming in a bit more to the area in question, which is there. Let me move you around so you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. There's not many screws on there. Now each alternator on different vehicles will be in different spots or hidden. One might be on the left, one might be on the right, one might be underneath something. And some old GMCs, they're up here, easily accessible. Take them off, put them back on. Right, I'm wearing this gloves obviously because there's oil. This I don't need to take off straight away, but I think I will do. Let's see what size it is. Oh well. Let's see if this one fits it. Yeah. Right, this one is a number 10 socket. that's off now. Don't take this cable out next to it at the moment, because you need to push something with a screwdriver to pull it. And I don't want you to try and attempt to take it off now, because you'll end up breaking it. This part just pops up. It's just, that's awkward. That's one of those ones you push down. Just get. There you go. I just got these pliers. Put them under, wrench, whatever you guys Americans call it. Pull it off. It's just a piece of plastic that pushes down onto a screw to help access it. One more thing I've got to take off is, I think I will have to take it off, is your, it's the pipe for the radiator, the coolant. Now, I took it off the other day and it was dripping coolant fluid, just slightly dripping. Now I could see whether I can do it. No, I think I need it off, because I need to be able to get my hands into the position I need to get into. Right, so squash that, pull it off. You see, be careful of that spitting in your face as well, because that's not good. Obviously I'm going to have to top this up. If I just empty some of this out. Really shouldn't empty that on the floor. So I'm just pushing that so it's out of the way. Okay, just wiping all it clean. It didn't do this yesterday, so obviously I've had it running this morning, just making sure everything's good. Okay. I'm sticking that in that pipe there. That's just to stop any debris getting inside the pipe. It will drip. It will start to drip and seep through the coolant fluid. Right, now let me zoom in, or let me just get you nearer to it so you can see it. As you can see, what I've done so far, just taking that top clip off. Let's tighten this up and tighten this on the camera. Right, that needs to come off. That needs to come off. Back here, there's two. 1, 2. Now, I take them off because it's easy, but I think you may be able to leave those on because it just slides out. But who cares? You know, I'll try it without. I'll try taking it without, just to save you guys time. But down here there's the belt. Now this belt has got a bit of tension via this here, this piece. So this is always taut. It's always tight, taut. So when you unscrew it, there's a bolt here that doesn't have to come all the way out. It comes so far out and it's like a hook. It sits on like a hook that drops in. And same with this side here, you can just see that one there. So there's 1, 2 which are hooks, it hooks onto it, just sits on it so that you can push it in. But this has to come that way towards the front, and so that you can release the belt tension. Then once it's off, you do the opposite of what you've just done, fit it in, because you will see that this belt will slide to this edge, and it looks like it's not going to go back on it, but it does go back on. It slides in, and once you start screwing that bolt, the other bolt, it pulls the alternator into place that way, which then pulls that belt back onto that pulley. So I'm going to do what I can. I don't think I need to take it off unless you want me to take it off, just so you can see the troubles that you may have. In fact, that's what I will do. I'll do it just for you guys. How about that? So just bear with me. Let me get myself set up again. Right. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to undo those screws, bolts, not screws. Again, It's just the number 10 you're doing. I'm gonna now I know there's different connections for the power sources. Once you've turned these, they are easy to get off. But never lose these bolts. Try not to lose them because it doesn't come with the extra bolts. So I always put them out of the way so I can get to them. Things I do for the YouTube videos, hey? But like I said, I should have done this yesterday, but I was that busy. I needed to get it on, and it only took me an hour to do. And there was no talking involved, you were pleased to know. That's the, oops. That's just fallen down there, so I'll have to get that. Yeah, I can see it. It landed on the floor. Did it? No, it didn't. I'll get that out in a minute. I know where it is. So I'm going to leave the other piece of that on. I might just loosen it, these back two, just to see if it'll just slide out the way. I want to see if it's easy to leave it on. That wouldn't have slipped out of my hand if I'd have not got these on. Yeah, so that's moving and it's laxy daisy, as I call it. Lax, it's slipping. Now I just need to take off these bolts here. Not take them off, sorry, undo them. You obviously can't see me going down here, but you can see what I'm trying to do. Now everything I do is I've never done before, and I'm teaching myself as well as you guys. If there's an easier option, please, you know, do it. If you know it, please say. But I think, like I said, different, nice and tight. There's different ways of doing different things. Now I don't know if you can see the alternator is now moving as I'm doing that, which is good because it's exactly what we need it to do. Now again, I'm not taking these bottom bolts out. I'm just taking, they're about, I'd say 3-inch long. So you take at least half an inch. Yeah, half an inch, undo it about half an inch, which then allows you to work. Because it has to come out slightly at a distance so that this alternator can come further down to be able to get the belt off. If you leave it too tight, the belt's going to stay on and you're not going to be able to, you're going to be forcing it to come off. Yesterday I took both of those bolts out until I realised that they were actually hooked on. It was like a eagle's claw, if that's the right word to use. Holding, the alternator was holding it with like an eagle claw sort of thing, so it didn't fall off. It was easier to put on. But we have to learn the hard way, don't we? Hey, that is a pain in the arse, this piece of plastic here, but there you go. Okay. Right, so now what am I doing? Yeah, it is a bit tight, so by taking this, how do I move out the way? Just move out the way, please, thank you. Okay, pain in the arse. It's easy with no gloves on because you can grab things, but for the video okay, so that lifts up a bit better. Now you can see, I know why I took it off, because of this cable. Now I can actually get to that cable. So I need my screwdriver, a flathead, and it just pushes there, and that slips up. You can hear it there, that's it. It's not very good with this. I think, you know, for what it's worth, just take this black piece off at the back, because all it's doing is stopping me from getting the cable. Taking that piece off. And I think if you're going to do it without any extra hassles, just take that bloody black thing. Oh, these gloves are driving me bloody nuts. I'm a worker with my hands, I'm sorry. Take some of the slack off the alternator so that this black metal holder can come off, the screws can come off easier. Right, there's another one. Right, so I didn't have to take the other side off, but I've taken that bolt out. Can you see that? I'm just going to have a look. Let me just take you over here. Take you into my world for a bit. Right. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom out a bit. As you can see, I've taken the back screw there, and that was only so that I can get to this cable here, because as you can see just there, you have to push in your screwdriver just to release it. Just to, let me see if I can do it while I've got one hand. That should push in, you hear the clip, and then you pull it. Yep, so there you go. So that's done with one hand. Right, the fun begins. Let's see where I can stick this camera safely. I'm going to have to try and hold this with one hand, I think. Right, as you can see, this is the electric terminal. And I told you about the oil, engine coolant dripping. It will drip. Not a lot you can do about that. Move that out of the way again. The belt is now slack. I can now lift that straight up, and here you go. It's up and it's off. As simple as that. And that's literally, looking at it here now, it's 18 minutes to take it off. So if you weren't talking, you can get that done 15 minutes plus another 15 minutes to put it back on. So we're going to do the opposite, so just bear with me, because this is the awkward part. Okay, I just had to pause it just so I could set the camera up, because I'm holding it with one hand. Now down here is the belt. Again, what we're doing is replacing it back the exact same way. So this, then you put your new one on. Yep. Now what you do is, there's two hooks, the two bolts that you didn't take out. This will sit back on those two bolts, like so. Yeah, but at the same time you tilt it forward, pull the belt onto it, so make sure the belt goes on, like so, and it does go on. It's just you have to push it really forward. Then what you do is you push your alternator back on to those bolts, and it will find and stretch that belt back on. But at the same time, make sure you've got it going at least onto the pulley. So when you're doing it slowly, this is why I took the black unit off yesterday, that black plate, because it got in my way. Right, so as I'm pushing that up, take the black plate off, it's a lot bloody easier. As you do that, it now goes onto the pulley. Now it's slightly off the pulley by about quarter of an inch. No, yeah, quarter of an inch. But once this is put back together, once you start screwing it down, bolting it back, and another thing, make sure you put the ratchet onto the right to tighten it the right way first. That's it. So get your ratchet before you start messing around with the alternator, because you've got to have two ends. Push it on. Check the belt goes on both sides of those wheels first, as best you can do it. Got a pain in the butt. Here we go. As you can see, I didn't really want to do this today, but I'm doing it. Once you've got it on, you've got to hold the alternator with some force, because you've got this this belt trying to pull it back out. So tighten one side up first. Once that you get it slightly tight, these bottom two bolts, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to try and jump out, but you've got to push at the same time while you're tightening it up. Not tighten up properly. It's always wanted to pull itself off, so just make sure your belt's in correct. Tighten up your other side. As you know, guys, we all live and learn, and we learn by watching. We can only learn if someone teaches us. I need to breathe on that. Take the other side. This is harder than it looks. This is the hardest bit, just tightening this back up. Right, now I don't have to hold it, and it should be able to tighten up. Right, as I've done this now, the belt just slides straight back on, meaning the wheel next to it, the riding wheel, it just went straight onto it, into its right position. Make sure it's nice and tight. I'm sure that's not going to make much of a difference. That's it, the belts are on. Okay, so the belts, if one side isn't going on properly, it will you can manhandle it once this is bolted, the alternator's bolted in, and just slide it back onto the pulleys next to it. So that's good. I'm pulling that one out because it's soaked. I'm going to put that one in just to give me a bit more time. Okay, now I stopped the filming, but I picked up the bolt that I dropped earlier. So that's going on there. Don't tighten them up straight away. Tighten them up hand tight, because you might have to just slightly adjust the belt. And I need to put this on as well. Let's see if we can do, where is it? It's there. Yeah. I'll get that on. I'll see if we can do that last. So just hand tight these screws so that plate's not moving around, getting in your way. They're on. They're not tight, but they're on. put this wire back in, you'll hear it clip in. I'm just going to use this. There, it's just clipped in. That's good. Now I just need to tighten everything up here. That's done. Remember, because you've been losing some radiator fluid, make sure the coolant, make sure you top it back up. It will run down, and you want to make sure it's done right. You don't want to be doing one job and then find out you overeat because you haven't got any coolant in. I can see straight away I've got some in, but it's below the level it should be, and that's over there. Never be scared to do any of this work yourself, because if you don't learn about the engine, you'll never learn about the engine. That's nice and tight. Okay, now it's just this for the battery. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, once it's put back together, how to test. So just pull this off. Shroud. This goes, make sure it goes on easily. Don't twist the cable around to make sure it fits. It goes on nice and easy, and then you tighten it up. Right, don't over tighten it too much. I'm leaving that off so you can see. Let me just leave that squirting first so you can see it. Okay, so what I've got so far is, I'm going to zoom out a bit. There. So it's all done. Alternator's on. That leads to the battery. That needs to go back on over there. So I'm going to do that and then put everything back together. So let me just get you into position again, and you can see the final parts of what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, right, battery lead back on because we're done with that. I need my number 10. Number 10. Always make sure your terminals are nice and tight on your batteries, positive and your negative, because if not, you can arc. It will create a heat and it will slowly, burn itself out and break connections, melt connections. Yeah. Moving those out the way. Need this. Right, next thing we've got to do is put this pipe back on, which has got fluid in it still. Let's do this quick. Right. Push it on. Wiggle it on. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Come on. Get it on. There we go. That's on. That's done. That's one less worry. Then it's just the air filter. Okay, we need the screwdriver, flathead. I wonder if I can go over there so it's not in the way of the heat. Yeah. So, let's put this on first. That goes nicely on there. There he goes. Nicely on there. Tighten the straps up. 2, 3. As you can see, put this final piece on. That just, again, pull the green lever down, push in, and it seals in. Let's make sure. Yeah, it's only one way you can go on. That's done. Okay, cover my terminal up. Oh no, I'll leave that out because I need to test it. Right, I'm going to show you. I'm going to pause it, get my tools ready to show you, and then I'll show you how to test it. Okay, I'm back. Right, I just you can see the terminals there, the green. See how near I can get to it. You need a bit of space, so let's see. Okay. Right, when you're testing this unit, you can test it obviously without the battery lead on, or you can test it with the battery lead on. If you've got a problem and the battery has died down, make sure you charge it on trickle charge overnight on 2 volts or whatever it is, 2 amps. Get it charged up because you'll get a better reading. If you test this, you then have to disconnect the terminal to the battery. If the battery is flat, it's going to give you a slightly different reading than if the battery is full. It'll be less of a ampage because it's trying to fill this up at the same time. Turn the engine on, turn the AC on, turn the lights on, and then we test it. As you can hear now, the engine's on. I've got the lights on, and it's working. I know it's working. I can see the fan belt going round, but that doesn't really mean it's working inside. It just means it's going. So your positive lead, your negative lead, negative on your on the actual metal part. You're live onto the green point. Test it. It's showing me 14.2, so 13.8 and plus is a good sign. It means it's doing its job. Excellent. So 14.2 at this moment in time. I did do a test when the battery was down, the battery was flat, and it was 12.8 or 12.6 something, which means either that was faulty, the alternator was faulty, or there was something else wrong with it somewhere along the line. Disconnected the battery, it still was showing low, but then I put the battery back on, charged it overnight, and as I said, everything's running now. AC's on high, the lights are on, and it's showing me 14. I'll do it again. I don't know if you can see it. You may be able to see it. 14.19 now, so that's even better. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to turn it so you can see it. Hopefully you can. So that's good. Right, so as you can see, everything's tested. It's all good, it's all running, it's all working. Put the caps back on, make sure everything's down. Tidy up your job, just tap that down. That's it. Put the cover over, and I'm going to rinse off. I'm going to make sure, let's zoom out of that. I'm just going to top up my coolant. Never open the coolant obviously when it's been running for a long time because it'll spurt in your face. I'm leaving that off. You don't need to see that. That's an easy job for you guys to do. So as you can see, guys, job's good, all done. Saved myself a fortune. The alternator was about $121 for this one, $121. And really, it's less than an hour's work. Under a cool tree, or shaded tree, or whatever you want to do. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. Subscribe to me. Thumbs up if you liked it. If you don't like it, tell me why. What have I done wrong? And please don't say you talk too much, because that's part of learning. Listening and learning. But hey ho, if you want to say it, please do. So all the guys in AMDA in New York Film, American Music and Drama Academy. Thumbs up to you guys, and thanks for subscribing and reading my posts. Have a good one. Enjoy life.